3, 2, 1. The MCParks 2020 Expo has begun. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We should start recording.
Oh my god, the amount of fireworks.
Who's doing the recording? Let's figure that one out. Recording. Great. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 MCParks Expo. This is our third biennial expo. The first one was held in 2016. The second one was held in 2018. And now we are here in the year 2020. It's been an interesting year, wouldn't you all say? Yeah, you know, we're here. We've got lots of fun stuff to talk about throughout this expo. We have plenty of panels for you to peruse. Add on to the alliteration there. And of course, we have the keynote address tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. But tonight, we're number one kicking off this panel, this expo rather. We're going to, at the end of the panel, open up the expo hall, which is going to have some fun things that might tease what you will see at the keynote address tomorrow. And we're also going to have a little bit of an MCParks history panel. I have several fellow panelists with me in the form of MCParks executives and lots of other MCParks cast members.
Yeah, we may have some other people kind of tone in.
Yeah, we have lots of other cast members who have been here since the beginning or close to it. That might have other little anecdotes to share and whatnot. But I guess we'll introduce the executives that are here first. I'm Ryan. I am one of the two MCParks owners. Of course, the other owner and founder of MCParks is Darren. Say hello, Darren.
Hello, Darren. It's the second time I did that joke in 30 minutes.
Yes, it is. But this time it was the first time that it's recorded, so you didn't have to tell everyone.
I shouldn't have acknowledged it. That was
yeah. Come on, that's recording 101. Let's see. Next in alphabetical order is a longtime member of the guest relations department here. I think around the same time that I joined, maybe. I don't actually know, but was guest relations manager for a bit. And when we reorganized the leadership of the server to be the leads and execs, she became one of the executives, where she's been ever since, organizing some of your favorite events on the server, helping the guest relations department run smoothly. It's Jess, Jessica King 22. Say hi, Jess.
Hi.
When did you join, Jess?
Okay, I was just thinking about this, and I remember being in 7th grade on here, and that was 7 years ago. So we'll say 7 years ago.
Got it. Yeah, so I became a cast member here August 2013. Were you around the same time as me then?
Honestly, I have no clue.
All right.
It's been a while.
There you go. Next up in alphabetical order, as far as Discord display names is concerned, is someone who has been here longer than me. It's somebody who my first memory of them was Darren giving me a tour of the server and took me down to where the utilidors are being constructed. And this individual was hammering away at the ground underneath Magic Kingdom to make the utilidors at a 1-to-1 scale. Those types of projects, the things that make MCParks, really elevate MCParks above just being a theme park, you know, like just having the guest areas of the theme parks done. Like, he's always working on those types of things, utilidors, the road system around the parks, helping us implement new artistic styles across things that we already have, helping to, keep up to date with construction that's going on around the parks and all that kind of stuff. He comes up from the Imagineering department, was an Imagineering manager for a bit, and transitioned to executive when we moved the managers to leads execs. It's Josh, also known as W2D5W8.
Hello.
There you go.
That's my introduction.
Josh, when did you join MCParks?
The server started in April of 2013. And I was like the second day of unwhitelisting in May of 2013.
There you go.
First or second day, I don't remember the exact one.
Nice. Yeah. Next up, in alphabetical order, who is here from our leadership and executive team is Kaylee, Kaylee, when did you join?
In June of 2014.
Okay, so far, the latest comer of us. Kaylee was it was still the tour guides then, yes?
Yes,
think.
it was.
Yep. Kaylee came on in the tour guide department, which was what we called the college program back then. Rocketed onto the GR team, where she was a huge help and stuck around for a really long time, to the point where we made her. You were CP manager for a bit, I think, and then you were GR manager. Yeah. And then someone else who always helped the leadership of the server be organized. Took meeting notes for us for a long time, helped us organize a lot of our files and whatnot. And so that earned her spot on the executive team when that was being put together. And yeah, I've been teleported to Team Darren. Oh, I'm on the stage. Hello, everybody. Hi. Whoa, that's a lot of people. Wow.
Yeah, you've just
Okay.
been ignoring them for the past.
Yeah. All right, let's stop. Guys, stop the fireworks. Stop the fireworks. I want to take a picture.
The jumping.
Stop the fireworks. Okay. Wow.
Oh, they're all
Okay.
crowding up front now. Oh,
Oh my
Lord.
There you go.
My
Okay.
goodness.
Anyway, so yes, that is. I need to turn down my sound because of these fireworks. I prefer.
Yeah, I
if you guys
told
didn't do that.
you.
All
We're
right.
at the stage in front of Rip Ride Rocket.
Rip Ride Rocket. Yes. So yeah. Where were we? That was Kaylee. Next up is well, he's not an executive, but he's one of the leaders of our departments. He's the leader of the technician department at present. It's Vec, also known as Mike. Mike, when did you join the server? AFK as per usual. There you go. So Vec's biggest contribution to the server is coming into voice channels and then sitting around AFK to the point where you call on him and he's not there. So that's Vec. He also worked on Spider-Man. Lots of work in Happily Ever After, and trains lots of new technician cast members and all that kinds of stuff. Now he muted himself. So there you go. That's Vec.
Hang on.
Vec's great.
Sorry.
Oh, he's here. Hi, Vec.
had
When did you join MCParks?
microphone difficulties.
That's fine.
So I joined, January of 2016.
All right.
Yeah.
So that was right around the time of the first MCParks Expo.
Yeah, actually it was. I think it was it was literally a month before.
That was the same month.
Was it in June? Yeah, okay.
That's when the
good.
Expo was, so yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
sorry about
that.
that.
You go. No, it's okay. So Vec's been around for several iterations of our technician style and the different things the techs do on the server. Obviously we're getting better and better as time goes on, I'd say. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I think the technician team has definitely improved drastically since 2016. But yeah, I'm very happy with where we're at right now.
Yeah, so those are the leadership of the server that are in attendance. Actually, that's not true. The Imagineering lead, Aaron, is also here.
Pandemic's here as well.
I think he has himself. Yeah, Pandemic's here too. Oh man, look at this. I think it's going through who is unmuted, and these two are. So let's actually first circle. Aaron, can you talk? Are you here? I think he has himself muted, and that's why
It is like midnight where he is.
Yes. So I can mucho background noise. Aaron says that's fine. So Aaron is Aaron says, but hi. Aaron's our Imagineer lead. Aaron's been with us for a year and 9 months now. I think it was January 2019 when he joined us. Yep. Aaron, but that's not where Aaron's theme parks and Minecraft journey starts. Aaron was one of the owners of a theme park server called Hyperion Parks, for those of you who might be familiar. They had Disneyland Paris, they had some custom parks, and yeah, that was his claim to fame. When he left that project, he came over here and has been just responsible for a immense explosion of the quality and consistency and the organization of our Imagineering department. So yeah, Aaron's great. Yeah, the Imagineers are awesome, Aaron says. That's why. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, and Pandemic is also here. Pandemic is the lead of the guest relations department. So similarly to Jess and Kaylee, keeping sure that massive department that's grown a lot over the past 9 months, especially, keeping that department running smoothly and training new people and planning all of the lovely events that you all love and making sure all of you are having a good time. Pandemic, how's it been leading the GRs through this period of massive growth for both their department and the server as a whole?
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it.
That's very fair.
And Pandemic, when did you start working on MCParks?
I started in early June of last year.
There you go. So of the leadership and execs, you're the newest person.
Yeah.
There you go. Alrighty, so that's who's in attendance right now. There is one more member of the leadership and executive team who could not make it, regrettably, this evening, and that is Imagineer Mike, or Electric Umbrella. He is, similarly to Josh, one of our executives who came up from the Imagineering side of things. He ran a small Disneyland project with Parker, and their team came over here, and he was made an Imagineering manager when that sort of acquisition partnership thing happened. And he stuck around ever since. And Mike is someone who I can always turn to see whenever there's been the construction walls in Epcot have moved within 12 hours of that happening. Mike's got it updated on MCParks. Mike's always keeping all that construction up to date and ready to go. And yeah, so that's who's here.
Mike also has the best one-liners of all of us.
Yes, whenever we have meetings, we can always count on him to not really give constructive input to the situation, but just act almost as comic relief to whatever we're dealing with.
It's constructive. It's very constructive. So yes, that's us. That's who we're here. That's who we are here. So for those of you who might be newer to the server, and many of you are, that's who runs this place. And what unites all of us is our motivations to make awesome theme park experiences in Minecraft, to make sure that all of our guests are having a good time and that we are, just making cool things. These are our guiding principles. We're not here for our own egos. We're not here to for any sort of agenda. We're here to make cool things, and that's what we got going on here. So yeah, this is the MCParks history panel and the Expo Kickoff. So I suppose we should go a little bit into the history of the server, abridged and maybe not complete. But
No. Like I said earlier, 7 years, 1 hour per year.
Right.
I don't have 7 hours.
Neither do I.
Neither do
I guess I should start it off, right? Since
Yeah, for clarification and for total transparency, we don't have a plan. So we're just going through things.
And however
Tomorrow
long it
is our
takes us
plan.
to get to 2020 is however long it takes us to get to 2020. So when I was kind of planning out the overall event, I I sat down and I was like, okay, like I think we should start off with kind of like this history panel because, a couple of the projects that we're going to be discussing in the keynote date back years and years of server history, and so a lot of the guests on the server now have joined within the past 6, 7, 8 months or whatever it is. And so it's a pretty good thing to kind of preface all of that information that we're going to be giving with the background history behind it. So I guess I'll start over at day one. I had kind of bounced around a couple different small like little theme park projects. Around the same time, Josh and Ryan were both doing their own thing in single player. They were both working on their own versions of Disney World. And I was kind of just like bouncing between a couple different creative servers and doing like map building and stuff for different multiplayer like mini game servers and stuff. And I was running a small survival faction server at the time, and it was made up with some people who I'd met just in the community. Like I said, just kind of bouncing project to project. And this is around the time that I had met Aaron, working on what became the predecessor to Hyperion Parks. I did a little bit of time over there with him. And so, over those couple months or whatever, I became friends with people like Josh and Bradley and a few others on the Imagineering team. And then there's one day I was talking with Parker, and we both just kind of said, like, hey, we should just, like, start our own theme park project. And I was like, I have this server that, like, if I take it down, I don't really care if it disappears or if it, like, falls off the map or whatever, It was this silly little server I had called Derpcraft, and so it was like earlier in the day, people were playing, mini games and building up their faction, and then by the end of that night, it was whitelisted, and we had started building. We had already started building Walt Disney World. My favorite ride at the time was Test Track, and I really wanted to build Test Track, but I didn't want to just do like kind of like a one-off thing. And so the natural progression was, let's start with, Magic Kingdom and then work into Epcot. And so that's kind of where the story that I always tell is like, I started MCParks because I wanted to build Test Track kind of gets its base from, is that in 2013 I was in love with the I think it had just newly opened a couple months prior, the new version of Test Track, and so that kind of became the basic framework of MCParks. Was like, I wanted to build this, and I wanted to make this like the thing. And so we'd started on Magic Kingdom, and this was around the time a couple other projects doing this were popping up, and a couple other ones were gaining popularity, and so it was very early on in the community in 2013, and a lot of people were kind of holding what they were doing back until they had a very finished and polished product. So it was very rare that you would be able to walk around on a server and see people actually building the parks, and so that was kind of the angle we went with in the beginning. We were whitelisted for just shy of a month, where it was me and I think 6 others that were building on the map. And after that month, we were like, let's open up the floodgates. And so that was where Josh came into the story. He was working on another project at the time, and
I had built all Main Street out of wool on this other project, and Darren came up to me like, no, not like this.
Yes, so just to backtrack real quick, Josh and I had worked together previously, and I was on my way out, and he was on his way in. And for those of you guys who are familiar with our friends over at Palace Network, the predecessor to Palace was MC Magic, and a bunch of us were original builders on there, and kind of helped with the server from like day one essentially. And so
We're talking 2012 here.
Yeah. And so Josh was this brand new Imagineer on there, and by this point I was one of the guys that had been there for almost a year, so I was one of the vets, I guess. And so I remember telling him like how to build, and telling him like, oh hey, like if you're building something, don't build it all out of the same one material because it looks bad, and stuff. And so And so I remember that when we first unwhitelisted, he had seen the videos that were going around of the server and stuff, and had seen that, oh, hey, the Main Street's half built, which is, the thing that you love to build. And so I had reached out to him and was like, hey, if you ever want to, come work on this project in the meantime, feel free to hop over. Right, Josh? That's roughly how you got involved?
It's not 5 minutes after I joined the server for the first time, and Darren's like, get into a voice call. I was on Mumble at the time.
And so we eventually, brought him on, and he's been on ever since. He's I think the single longest lasting cast member on the team, being here for just shy of 1 month less than the server exists. And so we ended up really gaining popularity there. We would, on average, have at peak times around 15, 20 people online, and it was just people just watching us build. This became kind of the later mindset behind putting parks into early access, because we wanted the ability for people to watch things be built. And so when we put parks into early access, it served as a way of us to kind of like harken back to how we started, because we were able to just attract people with no rides on the server and nothing going on and no events or anything, of just people being able to watch us do something really cool. And
I remember like opening Buzz, and that was one of the first rides, and we were already having people on, which was pretty nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how small the server used to be and the numbers that we used to pull for how small of a server we were. To put in perspective, the first 3 rides we had on the server were Peter Pan, Buzz Lightyear, and Pirates, and 2 of those rides are Omnimovers. And so on the server, we had, it was a small enough map and nobody had like gone out far enough yet to the point where like those 2 rides could just exist as Omnimovers without any sort of interference. Like, you didn't have to walk up or press a button or anything. Like, there were just constantly minecarts going around, which, thinking about that now is a logistical nightmare for our, 110 attractions or however many we have right now. But back then, it was very possible that you could stand on one side of Magic Kingdom that was built and have rendered in the other side of Magic Kingdom that was built, and that's it. And so we grew a lot those first couple months. In around June, which was after those 3 rides had opened, we made a couple different moves to expand the server. We wanted to start introducing hotels, so we started working on the Contemporary Resort. And then we also wanted to move towards that goal I had of building Test Track. So 2 months into the server, we had already started our next park, being Epcot, which was absolutely crazy because, like I said, we had 3 rides out of the 20 plus at Magic Kingdom open and operational. So if you think that we start too many projects now with incomplete parks in existence, you would have hated MCParks in 2013 because it was way worse.
We were just sort of doing stuff willy-nilly. Whatever we wanted to do was getting done.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing about that, like the community back then, is that there was no preconceived motion. Every step we took had the opportunity to be the first step someone in the community took. And so we were the first public theme park server to use train carts, like in the capacity of theme parks. Before then, it was just like small servers using it for like railway and like transportation and stuff. And so we were the first group of people to kind of take this alternate angle of it and be like, oh, cool, like this is this way that we can interpret this plugin to kind of do what we wanted to do. And so we made a lot of early moves like that to progress the server. Now I mentioned June because this is around the time where Ryan joined, and Ryan, I don't know if you want to tell this part of the story.
Absolutely. So dating before MCParks, all the way back to June of 2011, I fancied myself a YouTuber when I was in middle school. Not a very good one, but I fancied myself a YouTuber. Much of my early stuff has been privated for my own embarrassment. And I wanted to start some sort of series that I thought would be unique for me. And the idea of building things one-to-one, or just recreating things from real life in Minecraft was very intriguing to me. And one of my favorite places in the world is Walt Disney World. And so I started to make Magic Kingdom in Minecraft, and I recorded some videos of me doing it, with the idea being that I would record myself building it as time went on and post all of the episodes to YouTube. That was a series that I called Building Disney. And some old things from Building Disney are still indeed on my YouTube channel, and you can go and watch them, but I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, so thank you for everyone saying that you watched Building Disney. I appreciate it. So back in the day, I
MCParks. Building Disney is not it. No offense.
yeah. But yeah, so I'm very appreciative to anybody who watched Building Disney. But so I started that in 2011. I was only 13 years old at the time. By 2013, I had stopped and started several times, and I, just because I'm not a very good builder, so it's very dispiriting to start a build project and then not be a very good builder. And so I'm like, why am I doing this? This isn't really a project for me. But I really like the idea of it. In 2013, I was in some lull of not really, knowing what to do and not knowing whether I was going to continue the project or anything like that. So I went onto the internet to go look at other Minecraft Walt Disney World projects that existed. I was first made aware of MC Magic, which I think most people, were aware of at the time in 2012, 2013. I didn't love MC Magic. There's just something about their texture pack and the style of the buildings that I just didn't really like very much. Not that I could do better, I just didn't really like it very much. And I didn't really find any. And there's always things I could point to, oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not right. Interesting that this is how they chose to do that. Again, not that I could have done any better. I definitely couldn't have. So I looked at some other stuff as well, and I was trying to find other things. I found a map that someone had done in single player, which also was very, very under detailed and basically built entirely out of wool.
That was my map.
Turns out that was made by our pal Josh over here.
Wool Main Street. No, imagine a whole park like that.
Yes.
To be fair, this is 2011 we're talking about.
Yes,
there weren't a lot of block choices. If you wanted blue, you had blue, wool, and lapis, and that was it.
There's a Building Disney episode in which I was freaking out because of the addition of hardened clay to Minecraft. And I was like, guys, we have to change everything. We have to add hardened clay all over the place.
That was a good episode.
Yeah. So, that's something that and so I saw Josh's build and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then eventually I found at the time what I thought was called MCParks, because the branding for MCParks was not super, super strong. And so it was very routinely stylized as capital M, lowercase c, capital P. And so I thought it was pronounced MCParks. So I hopped onto MCParks to go see what was going on. And I don't know, there was probably 30, 40 people online at that point. And I was exploring the entrance to Magic Kingdom. The only ride that was open at the time was Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, I believe, when I was there for the first time. I know Star Wars Weekends was going on the server because above the castle there were big wool TIE fighters and a pixel art Darth Vader or something. Just hanging out.
Parker.
Oh, there you go. How about that? So it was hanging out there above the castle. So that was something. And then what sold me was I left Magic Kingdom and there was a walkway over to the Contemporary, and I walked over to the Contemporary. I was like, whoa, they're not just building the park, they're starting to build the rest of the resort. There's a monorail track that's going out this way. they have Epcot. It's on the same map. It's in the same, location as where it would be. And that kind of, that got me really excited. It all looked really, really good. I thought that the contemporary looked amazing. But then, so my username at the time, and this is part of the embarrassing things from Ryan's past. My username at the time was BobFred1213. It was my Club Penguin username. It was my Club Penguin username back when I was 7 years old, because that's when I made a Club Penguin account back in 2005 or whenever it was. And so this was my username, and I was a YouTuber with 200 subscribers from Building Disney. And the owner of MCParks, Darren, who at the time had his username Cact901, he recognized me from Building Disney. Like, hey, you're the Building Disney guy. And I obviously was like, yeah, I am. Thank you for watching. Hey, how's it going? And Darren, and it turns out that Darren had actually sent me a YouTube inbox message. Who remembers YouTube inbox? Darren sent me a YouTube inbox message before he started MCParks asking to join up with me and work on the Building Disney with me. Now, at the time, I actually got several such messages, like probably one every other week or something like that. And I usually just didn't respond to them because there were quite a few of them. So
well, in hindsight, a lot of the people who commented on your videos were people who we later knew in the community.
Oh yeah, that's great to go back and look at old Building Disney comments to back before YouTube killed the messaging service. I was looking at some of those messages, and they're all names that I recognize now from either they work on MCParks or they work on other servers in the community, or we've collaborated with them in the past. And in hindsight, it's really cool how this really niche community has sprung up in recreating theme parks in the game of Minecraft. And we really just know all of each other, and it's great. But yeah, anyway, enough digressing. So I had met Darren, and I thought that was really cool. He recognized me, and I left MCParks for a bit. But I had the invitation from Darren to come on back, to hang out and to possibly work with everyone else. So I was like, okay, that's neat.
If I can just interrupt real quick.
Yes,
so the
go ahead.
weirdest part about this is, like I said, we had just started Contemporary and Epcot like that week, and Ryan references that as like the thing that made him come back and like really be interested in the project. That like it was just something that I just haphazardly was like, oh hey, let's start this right now.
Yeah. So it was literally, I think it must have been like a day or two after that it started. But yeah, so that was around June of 2013. Flash forward to August 2013, and Darren was having a charity live stream. He was doing a 24-hour live stream, and at some point in that live stream, he was he said, "Here's my Skype," and put the Skype in the Twitch chat, and was like, "Come add me on Skype, and we can talk." So I put my Skype in there, and I was like, "Hey, I'm the Building Disney guy. You want to hop in a call?" And then he added me to the call. We started talking. At first, he didn't realize that it was me again, the Building Disney person. He's like, "Oh, that's who you are." And so we started talking about Building Disney a little bit. And then
so the really weird thing is that like you had a trip to Disney like that summer or something, and we had
it was like a couple weeks before.
Yeah, so a couple weeks before you had gone to Disney World, and you and I had like interacted back and forth on Twitter, and I guess your Twitter name had nothing to do with like your YouTube stuff, and so I just thought I was just interacting with some random person on Twitter, because I remember specifically like asking about like the Magic Band stuff, I believe, and so we had this random interaction on Twitter where we were like, oh cool, like we're from like the same like general geographical location and stuff, and so we went back and forth on Twitter a bunch, and I had no idea who I was talking to.
So that was my bad for not marketing myself very well, but this is coming from the man who called his server MCParks.
Lowercase c was a mistake.
Yes, but I changed that when I moved up in the ranks. Don't you worry. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So in that Skype call during the 24-hour live stream, the conversation very quickly went from talking about Minecraft, talking about building Disney, to just talking about theme parks in general. And so we just started talking about, the Disney parks. We started talking about Epcot. We started talking about what we would change to Epcot, and just sort of our favorite parts about the park. Started talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. And Darren, how long did we talk? Like 4 hours?
Yeah. It was like a very large portion of the stream, which was great because I was about to enter the very late overnight hours. So I was glad that it didn't, descend to just me talking to myself for a few hours. So you really came in clutch there.
happy to help out. So after the 24-hour live stream, and after Darren got his well-deserved sleep afterwards, I got a Skype message from him saying, "Hey, it was fun talking theme parks with you. Do you want to start a podcast?" I was like, a podcast? Okay. And so we hopped in a call. We started concepting an idea for a live streamed on Twitch Disney Parks podcast that we called the Dizcast. Any Dizcast viewers in the audience back from when we did Dizcast? I'm seeing some flickers of recognition here. Hi everybody. Still have my prize. Yes, we did trivia every week, and I wrote the winners of the trivia down on an index card saying, "You'll get a prize at some point." No one's gotten their prize yet.
The prize was the memories we made along the way.
There you go. That prize is that index card is another treasure trove of old names. I don't have it with me. It's in New York, and I'm in Florida. But there you go. The Dizcast. That wasn't the first Dizcast logo though, but that was one of the Dizcasts. That was the Ddos East podcast. So that's that. We did that podcast together for years. We streamed it every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Where have I heard that before? We went on Twitch. Oh my gosh. Yep, there's a still from the Dizcast. That's me, 16 years old. However old I am, in my childhood room there.
I'm really
Good
disappointed
times.
that screenshot doesn't include my magic.jpg, but
Yes.
I can't be too pushy.
Also, that's the worst image of us.
That also is probably the worst picture you could have chosen from there. Yep. So there you go. That's us in high school. You can go to YouTube, Dizcast Show, if you want to see Ryan and Darren pretending like they know how to run an event.
Bad either,
Or you could just show up to the 2020 MCParks Expo to see us pretending to know how to run an event.
There you go. I mean, you know what? Maybe it wasn't the super best produced thing in the world. I think it's pretty good for 16-year-olds maybe in that time period.
You also got to remember,
and
2013 was a very different time on the internet. And in addition to that, we had a decent viewer base. We had 50 to 70 people at the live shows, and then on YouTube it would get an additional couple hundred views, and then on iTunes it would do even better.
Not do very well. Not on iTunes, but yeah.
Well enough. We had all 5-star reviews. It was great.
Yeah, that we made people do. So we did the Dizcast, and I was going to say, despite maybe how not super polished it looks for today, that's where it was between the Dizcast and then getting into leadership roles in my Boy Scout troop that I really found out how much I love presenting and how much I love doing things like this. Conveying information to you all, the audience, and interacting with a group of people there. I am indeed an Eagle Scout, Littlehead. I was the senior patrol leader for my Boy Scout troop for a couple of years, and one of the responsibilities of being the senior patrol leader is leading the meetings. And so I would lead the meetings. There'd be a sheet of things and announcements to do and stuff to cover, and that was my favorite thing to do, was lead the meetings.
Did you have a question and answer segment at the end where you just sort of gave vague responses all the time?
No. But so Tuesday nights I led a Boy Scout meeting. Wednesday nights I did a Disney Parks podcast, and that was really fun. It was a great time, and it really helped me find my love for presenting, helped me find my love for leadership, which is great as well. and definitely influential to where I'm at today. So yeah, we did the Discast. Bringing it back to MCParks though, after a couple episodes of doing the Discast, and I was also spending time on MCParks. I wasn't working on MCParks yet, but after a couple weeks of that, I logged on to the server and I was made a tour guide. So that was the first Discast logo right there.
Oh my god.
That was me, Sam. I did all the Discast graphic design. But yeah, so that was the first Discast logo up there. Darren made that one. Oh yeah, I did spell orbiter wrong. How about that?
Hey, I'm not making one.
Yeah, but anyway, it's all right. We don't need to yell at me for what I did wrong several years ago. Anyway, yeah, so I woke up and I was a tour guide on the server. So tour guide was the training rank to guest relations before the college program rank. And at the time, I spent my time on MCParks just talking to everyone who was online. I made friends with two of the guest relations. I guess they were the managers at the time, Kamikaze Platypus and the Davesturism. If anybody recognizes either of those names, kudos to you.
There's a bit of server history that we just kind of jumped over.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going my story. So Darren, go through the rest of your stuff.
I figured we could just go progress through each year, and then Jess, I don't know how much of you remember when you joined, but this is around the time where you started entering the picture. But so anywho, like I had mentioned when I first started everything, there were a couple other small projects. There was another server building Disney World that was called Parkitects, and Parkitects was kind of the bar to beat essentially, because they were doing some really interesting stuff with texture packs and just some really innovative things on.
Award.
Yeah. Within the game too. I'm sorry, Josh. What did you say?
Walk into Haunted Mansion and spend 10 minutes downloading a new pack every time.
Yeah. So
for context, what they did was they did per region texture packs. They weren't even resource packs at the time. So every land of the park had a different texture pack. So when you entered the land, you download a new texture pack, and then when you went to go ride an attraction, you download another texture pack. It was a lot.
So not efficient at all. And so they were kind of like the technological standard to beat. They ended up not doing too hot just because they made a bunch of design decisions that ended up not working out well in their favor, that being one of them. But this server they were very closely aligned with, named Themecraft, was building Universal Orlando. And at the time, there were a bunch of small projects going on around the time that MCParks was started that were doing one specific thing. There was never a server that was doing two things, and I think you can all kind of assume where this is going. So I had known the people on that project from being friendly with them on Parkitects, and just knowing them from, just knowing them for over a year in other areas. And so we had started discussions over the summer about teaming up and kind of just doing I don't know. It started out as just very you advertise us, we advertise you, just very non-compete, we're doing two different things. So let's not be at each other's throat and kind of help each other out, which worked for a while. But after I'd say around July or so, it became very apparent that they weren't able to draw in the same crowd that we were able to, because we were building Disney World and they were building Universal. And similar to real life, Disney will always be more popular than Universal. And so we had made the decision to kind of team up, and we combined all of the staff from both projects, and we put both of the servers on one server, and they took the name MCParks under their wing, and they just kind of integrated into us. This brought on two owners named Pixie Sugar and Mutant Koala, and they became the other owners alongside me. And so that's kind of where we're at now. So by this point in server history, there's 3 owners. There's a couple different managers of different departments, and that was where we made Kamikaze Platypus and Dave Sturism GR managers. Because at this time, the server's now expanding a lot. We now have not just Magic Kingdom, but we're also full steam ahead on Epcot, having opened several attractions in Epcot by this point. And then we also now have Universal.
Back in the days when attractions were just mine carts through a building.
Yeah. So, I made friends with Dave and Kami. They were 2 of my first friends on the server. They brought me onto the guest relations team, and I, worked alongside them. And obviously, I also had a foot in with the leadership team, as Darren and I still did our podcast every week. So, But if you can see a problem with a bunch of younger teenagers all having authority together and needing to share authority, maybe you can see a problem. Maybe you can see issues starting to foment into the future. And that's what happened. So moving into late 2013, a lot of tensions boiled over about what? I have no idea. Probably something trivial and stupid because everybody was...
Oh, I remember.
Okay, go ahead. It's going to sound so dumb, whatever it is.
It is, and I promise you it doesn't paint me in a good light. So there were a couple problematic guests that I had taken the approach of we shouldn't keep giving them continual chances and treatment. And some of the people here joining us for this panel, you may be people that fit into this group and are very well aware that we are a very forgiving community, and we do tend to be a little light with the unbans. And so a lot of the frustration grew because I was tired of seeing the same people banned every single week. And we're like, well, maybe they learned a lesson this time. Maybe they learned their lesson this time. And, it went on for a while. And then I had thrown out probably one of the first permanent bans on the server and was like, nope, that's it. These people are done. And it was viewed as a very hypocritical thing because for a while I was the one preaching oh, hey, we should be, very forgiving. We're dealing with a lot of younger kids here. We should show the restraint and not try to kick people out unless they need to be kicked out. And so that was kind of one of several fights that sparked a pretty large mass exodus of people on the server.
But it wasn't just mass exodus saying, oh, you know what, I disagree respectfully with some decisions that Darren made, so I'm going to leave. That's not what happened. What happened was that a lot of people who were in management positions and everything like that, they all decided to grief the server a little bit. A lot. So they went through and they rolled it out a bunch of stuff and everything, and we were able to restore it all thanks to backups.
It took a long time.
The advent of it did take a long time.
2 of the people that left being the 2 other owners. Every single manager, I believe, also had left. And about
every manager we had to rehire from the ground up.
Yeah, and about 2/3 of the cast team had all left the server. And when the 2 other owners left, they destroyed everything in console. They were deleting configs, and every backup was removed and purged. Luckily, they didn't. This is back when we were using LogBlock. Luckily, they didn't purge the LogBlock files. And the only save that I had that wasn't months old was the physical map on the server. And I remember I called out of school the next day. I don't recommend doing this. But I called out of school the next day and just sat there slowly rolling things back for gosh knows how many hours. I think I was at my computer.
We had in at one point.
We were whitelisted for 36 hours or so, and it was just essentially building everything from the ground up.
Do you remember a week out of officially finishing and opening Magic Kingdom 2 at this time?
Oh yeah, that was the worst part. So we have this almost finished Magic Kingdom, and the next nearest save was the park is 3/4 of the way done. So we're not, taking that back up isn't an option necessarily. And I remember it was that night, I had whitelisted everything, and I sat there rolling everything back, that Legend of Sif, Darby Poodle, and I forget who else. Ryan, was there another one, or was it just the three of us?
It was the three of you guys, so who were then the owners.
Yeah, sorry, it was forever ago.
Yeah.
And I remember Legend of Sif was like, okay, like we need to, kind of rebuild and reorganize, and we don't really have a lot of people here, so it's almost like everyone on the team is getting a promotion, and they're filling in whatever spot was previously above them. And so I don't know how I was convinced that, like, oh yeah, we still definitely need 3 owners, because that didn't just work horribly. And so Legend of Sif, Darby Poodle, and I were now the 3 owners. Whatever happened to Legend of Sif? He's still here. He's an Imagineer.
His name was Zinda32 as back then.
Yeah, and so Ryan and Josh, that was where the 2 of you entered management, right?
Yeah, me, Ryan, and Kitten Mittens. I know for sure. There was one other GR person phone. I don't remember who.
Yeah, so Josh and Kitten were then Imagineering managers, and then I took up the guest relations manager position along with Seaman 18. Yep, Colin.
This is December
so
2013 for those trying to keep the time straight.
Yeah.
So we're less than a year in, and it's already absolute chaos.
But that's fine.
And I think Jess was a cast member by this point, right?
I think so.
Do you remember anything from that time?
No.
That's fair. It was a pretty weird time. And a lot of the team was younger, around 13 or so. So I don't expect much of this to click. In fact, you could even ask Legend of Sif about like the early days of this, and he has said several times like he doesn't remember any of this.
Yeah.
Or like the conversations that led to like him being in charge, like it's just like a complete blur to him, which is crazy that he was like in charge of this thing for months and just it's completely out the memory bank.
I have a image here that is the teaser graphic for the Magic Kingdom opening that was canceled because of that griefing. You can see the first MCParks logo there. There's some more graphic design is my passion. That's the same Magic Kingdom image that was in the Discast image. But there you go. You can see the MCParks there too. on the way that the IP address is stylized. So that was the first that was canceled obviously because of the griefs. But yeah. But when we came back, we started working on Hollywood Studios. Here's a picture of the first Tower of Terror structure. I'm going through old tweets. So this is from December 27th, 2013. This is as we were putting everything back together. I found a tweet on January 5th, 2014 saying happy birthday to Imagineer manager, Josh. And we started reopening things that were closed. We started working more closely on stuff. So we opened Space Mountain. We did some more work on Hollywood Studios. Here is a picture of the Sorcerer's Hat being built in 2014.
That was like a picture we used for promotional material a lot after that too. Or something very similar to it.
Most certainly.
I'd like to point out that happy birthday tweet was before I had access to the Twitter.
That's true. It wasn't Josh saying happy birthday to himself. We also actually, so around here is where Imagineer Mike comes into the picture. I actually have a picture here from the MCVC Disneyland. So Darren, you want to talk about Minecraft Vacation Club, MCVC? Unless anyone's here from that project. Parker's here.
Parker.
Parker, do you want to talk about MCVC?
Go Parker. Go Parker.
Have we unmuted Parker? Here we go. Parker, you want to talk about MCVC?
Hello.
Hi, Parker.
Hi, Parker.
Don't remember much from it.
Do you remember this, Parker?
Oh, that Matterhorn. It's brown.
It is brown. But yeah, so basically, Parker and Imagineer Mike were working on this Disneyland project, and we had brought on Universal. We were starting Hollywood Studios. Darren's got another picture here.
We're using image
look at that castle.
maps
As the partner statue.
Partner statue.
But yeah, so MCVC merged with us to give us our first Disneyland map, the first of many, I might add. Parker, how many Disneylands have you been responsible for?
I think last time I counted, it was like 12.
Good lord.
Yikes! Yeah.
All I know is that Parker, T3, and I built like all of the old Disneyland in like a summer.
Here's another picture of Magic Kingdom circa February 2014.
Hey, that's my picture.
Yeah. And remember the old hub lake? Yep. Look at that. So, yeah, we started expanding. We had great ad campaigns such as this one.
That's the Utilidors. That's not an ad campaign.
Look at this wonderful ad campaign. Darren, do you
that
remember
was
this?
very popular in 2014, though. That was probably super effective.
Well, you want to know what it was? YOLO is probably trending on Twitter, and
Yeah.
Darren, basically at 4 p.m., whatever happened to be trending on Twitter at that time, you'd make
Would
a
be
tweet
the
about it.
number one. That was also around the time where I would be like, hey, I would like literally tweet, hey, I'm gonna go get a snack. We better be like X many followers when I get back. And then I would come back, and that's how many followers we would be at. The exclamation marks or the exclamation points and the ones. There would be sometimes I would like physically write out the word one in there.
Oh man, having the new logo and branding with the old tweet is so weird.
We also, at this point, opened our first like disembodied attraction. We had King Dakar just randomly from Six Flags Great Adventure.
It's just on its own map somewhere.
Yeah. Darren, how did that come to be? I'm pasting a link to the Planet Minecraft post if anyone's interested.
Oh gosh. So I had realized that there was a market for very specific things that weren't necessarily, oh, here's Walt Disney World. Like what are the most popular roller coasters? And there's a market for people recreating just those coasters because they're like, wow, there's no way that you could create like a crazy launch coaster like that in Minecraft. And so doing with what we did with train carts, we were like, oh, hey, we could definitely like capture some of this market that exists.
I still have a copy of the Nick Hotel, seeing Trav Max in the chat. I know where it is. It's not on the server anymore, but I have it.
Now, we also did more expansion in early 2014. So we're still in April 2014 here. We also opened another park, another Orlando park. Anybody? We don't have this anymore.
We were really, I know this one. We were really starting to live up to our name of MCParks at this point.
Yes, because we were doing more than just Disney parks. We started, this is SeaWorld. No, it's
We
SeaWorld.
opened that on the first anniversary, I think, or for the first anniversary weekend.
Yes,
it was actually the weekend after. It was weekend after. Oh no, you're right. It was the anniversary weekend. Yes.
No, because I remember putting it in
Yes,
my
yes, yes.
first anniversary video.
Yep. So yeah.
It didn't open with any rides
we
or
also
anything.
Yeah, no rides. I don't think it ever got any rides actually.
No. Nope.
And that's one of the reasons why that's one of the things we elected to close. We needed more like space on the server or anything like that.
Well, wasn't SeaWorld one of those ones where like we got a group of builders, a small group, and they came on and they're like, we want to do SeaWorld. And we're like, okay. So they made them do SeaWorld. And then they got like halfway done the entrance area and they're like, we're bored. And then they all left and then just sort of sat there.
Yes, you mean Busch Gardens, Tampa.
Well, yeah, that one too. And Legoland.
So I think Ryan was leading into that next. Was Legoland was shortly after that, right?
I haven't arrived at Legoland yet in the tweets. I think that might have been after.
Gotcha.
So, because I honestly don't remember when Legoland was. I thought it was then.
So, in comparison to 2013, 2014 was significantly more boring. Like, it was... There was not a lot that happened. It was just a lot of progress. And a lot of just... I don't know. We kind of sat for a while. Like, there was a lot of just nothing going on. Like, we were spread out very thin. And that's kind of always been how we've been. We've enjoyed the ability to have a lot of projects that people can pull from. So if people are getting bored of one thing, they can work on something else for a little bit. If they were tired of that, they can move to something else. But we were starting to see the negative ramifications of that, because we were getting kind of this name in the community as being like known as the server that couldn't finish anything. And so we were just like the server that would start a bunch of projects and just wouldn't be able to finish, because by this time we have Magic Kingdom, which never fully opened. It's still not really fully open. Epcot, which is probably about halfway built by this point. Hollywood Studios was started. We now have Disneyland, Universal, Islands of Adventure, and SeaWorld. So there's a lot of stuff on the docket of what we're actively working on.
SeaWorld and Legoland and all of these other like parks we're talking about that you don't see on the server obviously don't exist anymore, but they had their time.
Wes said that he joined in 2014, which was a very important year. Wes sticks
Mega
out to
Bowler.
me.
I remember Mega.
Yeah, he sticks out to me as one of the like strongholds of 2014, because fun fact, he was building Six Flags Great Adventure like 1-to-1 on creative, and we were like, oh hey, you should stop building on creative and start building on like the actual server, please.
I remember on a Mumble call or something, because I was the Imagineer manager at the time, and so someone said, you have to come see what this guy is doing, and so I TP'd, and man.
Yeah. Let's see. What are people... yeah, so in May of 2014, Darren took some time off from being the server owner, and in his place, I was elevated to that rank and given access to the server console, and we also had.
This is when the server console really started taking off.
Yeah, so it was at this point Darren left, and in his place, two more owners came up, like a chimera. So it was, or not, like a hydra, not a chimera. I'm sorry, getting my mythical creatures confused. So like a hydra, Darren got chopped off, and then two more owners took his place. It was me, and it was Kitten Mittens, who was previously one of the Imagineering managers. So at this point, there are four owners. It's Darby Poodle, it's Kitten Mittens, it's me, and it is Zinda. Well, you guys know him as Legend of Sith. And around this point, the last project that Darren oversaw when he was owner this time was, do you remember what it was, Darren?
It was it the start of Custom?
No, it was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we opened Seven Dwarfs Mine Train on the same day as it opened in real life. So that was a pretty neat thing. So, yeah. Oh boy, here's a list of, I don't think I could recognize who all these people are because they're all old skins, obviously. But look at some of the cast members of MCParks at this time.
Oh, I couldn't name half of these names.
Yeah, no. These are also, I think, not leaders. So these are people who are just base level cast members.
Who do I see here? I see I see Jessica Cake.
Yeah.
I see Night Stalker. I see
I
Spiccato.
never have it. I don't know who that is though.
I see Sam.
Yeah, I saw Sam.
Yep. Sam was working on this bad boy at the time, which first show was
Oh.
our wonderful. You know, I might have made that graphic.
I think you did that.
I think that's me. I'm sorry, everybody.
We're,
That looks like a
we're
me
out of the
graphic.
time frame where we can blame the bad graphics on 2013 me.
Yeah, now it's 2014 me. Apparently, there were 80 people on for the start of Wishes there. Oh boy. Yeah,
So going back to the four owners thing.
Yeah.
The best part about that was I had messaged both Josh and the one who became eventual owner, Kit Mittens. I had messaged both of them on Skype, and I couldn't decide between the two of them of who to bring up as like, the
Wow.
overseer
Okay.
of Imagineering. Josh, did you know this story? And the way it was picked was whoever joined the Mumble channel first was who got it.
Oh boy.
Missed my shot by that much.
We also reset our player list in when I became owner and I got the access to console. Some of our stuff had to be reset, and so at this point our player list got reset. So we started counting from 0. So we say our total number of of guests is 200,000, whatever. That's from April of 2014. But anyway, sorry. So yeah, go ahead.
Join the Mumble channel, not me.
And so that was how the owners of the server were now determined. Whoever got back to me first was put in charge. I forget what the justification was. I think it was something along the lines of like, okay, whoever gets back to me first clearly has more time to dedicate to the server. Like it was just something like I was absolutely torn between the two of them. But Josh, it ended up working out well in your favor.
I'm just being bitter for the sake of the show.
Hold on. So MCParks has always marketed itself as a pandemic-friendly business, as you can tell by this tweet right here that says, "Avoid the Ebola virus, stay inside and play Minecraft," which at the time was a joke. At this point, Darren was back at the reins of the Twitter account, because that's 100% a Darren tweet.
I didn't have access to the main Twitter account until at least.
Yeah, that checks out as something that 16-year-old me would put together. So I had taken a couple months off, and I eventually came back.
To more infighting among the owners.
Yes, and it was bad. So none of the Imagineers were being productive, and this doesn't paint Kitten in a good light, but I think he would attest to this being true. That a lot of Imagineers weren't happy that things had transitioned from the way that I was running things to the way that he was running them, which is I was very relaxed and saying like, okay, like whatever we get done is what we get done, and however long it takes to get there, I would just rather put out something that's good than something that's complete. Like I'd rather take the extra time to focus on getting it right than just build for the sake of building it and just treating it like this competition that we just have to keep pushing forward on. And so pretty much all progress from the Imagineers had stopped. I think this is around the time that the GRs and GRs and technicians were split up, because for literal years they were together.
That was a little later, I think.
Gotcha.
I think that was early 2015, but I'm not positive.
And so there was a lot of outcry for me to come back and kind of clean everything up and put things back in order. And I'd been...
It wasn't just within the Imagineers. It was kind of a general thing. People in the community said the server would fail without you at the helm.
Yeah, and so I had come back to this absolute mess of 4 people that were at each other's throats, always talking behind each other's back. And even Ryan isn't clear of this, because while everyone was talking behind each other's back, Ryan was the single source siphoning information to me saying, if you were still here, what would you do, and how would you and how would you react to this? And so
is what we're saying.
when I believe one of the Imagineers was sending around like a letter saying like, oh hey, like if Darren doesn't come back within the next couple weeks, like I'm out. If you agree, leave as well. And so I had gotten word of that, and I had agreed to come back under the condition that the management team was pretty much wiped clean, and we started from square one on who's going to be in charge of what and how we're going to make those decisions.
At this point, I totally assumed that I'd be put back in charge of the guest relations department.
Yeah, so I think the idea was that I would just take over just me, and so I had spoken to all the other owners. By this point, Zach, Legend of Sif, had fallen off the face of the earth. He just wasn't responding to messages. He was just MIA. And so we just said, whatever. He hasn't been on in a month plus. Like he's a non-issue as far as this goes. So the only thing sitting on my plate was, how do I tell the 3 people that are currently in charge of this project that they are no longer in charge of this, and through just like sheer force, I am taking control back. And so, Ryan, I don't remember if you were in my conversations with the others. I think it may have just been me.
I think it was just you.
And I had first talked to Darby, and I felt absolutely awful about this because she was fairly good at what she was doing, and I had no direct gripes with her, and I had known her dating back to 2012. So this is someone I had known for years, and I had explained like, oh, hey, I think I'm going to step back into management, and I think people want me in charge, and this is how the server is going to be run now. And I phrased it like a conversation, but it was more just like here's what I'm doing. I'm now telling you for the sake of telling you. And so she had agreed to step down back to manager. And the idea was everyone would be taking a step back down one level, and we would kind of restructure from there. And so next up was Kitten. I spoke with him, and completely as expected, he was just like, nope, you could just remove my ranks. I'm done, and I'm out. And so
and he got Darby to leave with him too at that point.
Yeah. They had both talked, and they were like, yo, Darren can't be coming back in here and doing this and kind of stepping back in. And my response was pretty much like, that's entirely true. I shouldn't be able to do this, but it really shows who's actually in charge in this situation that I'm able to just walk in and say, I'm in charge again.
And the only people who were upset about it were, the people who were already in charge.
Yeah. So
everyone else was much happier about it, but as was I. And I was like, yeah, great. I'm going to go back to being in charge of the guest relations department and let Darren do his thing.
And so next conversation I had to have was with Ryan. And I don't know what it was that made me say, no, he can stay. But something made me go, he can stay. I think it was a mix of the fact that he was always keeping me in the loop, in that I was able to tell he always had the best interest of the server in mind, because I would disagree with him on stuff that he was saying, and he would respond accordingly based off of what I was suggesting. So I always knew that he had the best interest of the server in mind, and I also knew that he was way more technically literate than I am. And
he didn't want me to lose my console access.
Yeah. And if I was going to have somebody kind of guide the server forward in what is a completely different game now, where we're now at the halfway point of 2014, which is very different than 2012 with the way that the internet works. And so I was like, I definitely can't take over and just like be like, I'm in charge and I know how to run this thing. And so I had
also just at peak popularity at this point, and there was no Java edition, Bedrock edition to confuse people. So
yeah. So we were kind of popular, and there was no progress being done, and I just needed somebody else there to just kind of act as like this grounding force next to me. And so I kept Ryan along, and I think we had scrapped the GR and kept the Imagineer managers, because it was Josh and Mike at that point.
I've left management since 2013 when I was promoted. So yeah.
Kaylee, were you here by this point? Yeah,
I
you were.
believe so, yeah.
Were you in the GR department when this was happening?
What month was this around?
This was August of 2014.
14.
Guys, we said that 6 years ago.
Let me see. I wrote down all the dates of every rank I've gotten here.
I think this is when we
Okay.
made Caden GR manager.
Yes, so I was not GRA. I was still tour guide until November of that year.
Okay, yeah. Because this is when Caden Elizabeth, who, we're friends with like in real life now. She's great. We made her one of the GR managers. I think Spoonie might have also, Spoonie Bard at this point might have been made a GR manager also.
Yeah, both of them were also the tour guide / GR managers. They were great.
I was waiting to see what D said when I mentioned that name. Yeah, so that's what it kind of happened at that point.
I'd like to backtrack to June when you made
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
fireworks video. Here's that link. My first debut is Kaylee626 and first appearance in anything MC Parks related.
Through
There
the
you
castle
go.
as Ryan was running through the castle.
Yep.
And I think I said hi to you in the video too.
Yes, you did.
At the castle. Hello there, Kaylee. How you doing? Nice to see you. Awesome. Anyway, so there you go. Yeah. So we're moving on. Any other anecdotes that any?
No,
MC
it
Parks
calmed
people
down
wanna contribute?
significantly after that. Like that was like
Yeah, we opened Disneyland for the first time in August of 2014, which now looked like this. Notice how Matterhorn is not brown anymore. This was a different Disneyland.
We did a whole opening show.
We did do a
Parker
whole opening show.
and I programmed an entire opening show, and it was great. I'd like to point out that we were going to open Disneyland on one day, whatever day that happened to be, and we were looking at it the night before. It was like 8 o'clock the night before or something, and we're like, Haunted Mansion's not done. Let's have Haunted Mansion open. So between like 8 and 3 a.m., we worked on Haunted Mansion, and it opened with the park the next day.
That was October 25th, 2014.
Yeah, like we spent a good portion of the night building Haunted Mansion, and it went from nothing to complete in like one night, and it opened the next day with the park. Obviously before all of the fancy tech effects that we currently do, and it was just a minecart going through. It was great.
History of creative, I don't think we know enough, but basically take all the stuff that we mentioned that happened in 2013 and assume that nobody got more mature for 7 years.
Well,
And that's the creative server's history.
There was that period of time when creative was donator only for like 2 months, and poor Chig was like the only person who donated.
But yeah, that was pretty much it for 2014. A lot of the management issues have subsided by then. The next kind of shakeup happened in 2015, which
February.
which ushered in a couple other changes as well.
At this point, when Disneyland opened, Parker and Mike were both Imagineer managers. We had 3. I don't know when they came in, but
Watching overall 8 people on the team.
Yeah,
it was a chill time. I loved it.
At this point, we had also moved to. So we're moving into MCParks Castle over time. Ooh, look at that! I want to watch
why
that.
didn't you send me this before? I want to see. I want all these pictures.
Oh, no, I forgot it existed.
There you go. Yeah, we could have used that one like half an hour ago. We were going through some of the old. Actually, when was this video posted? Anyway, yeah. So we're moving to 2015 now. We were getting ready to open. So 2014 ended with Indiana Jones Adventure opening, which was like a super crazy advanced attraction for us at the time. Those videos of that still exist on YouTube if you want to go see it. And it catapulted us very well into 2015 when we were going to open Islands of Adventure and specifically the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Both Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade areas at once. we had over 15,000 guests at this point, and we were getting ready to open all of these groundbreaking attractions. Gringotts,
Oh boy.
and Forbidden Journey, and it was going to be awesome.
We had like a half-hour meeting the night before just talking about the next day, how we were going to open everything. We had a whole plan. It was the most planned out event in MC Parks history. And then
well, I don't know. What do we say that happened? Like, there was some this is when we were starting to experiment with custom software. For those of you who know the MC Amusement team, we had on and off kind of partnered with them several times. At this point, MC Amusement was partnered with us, and Mr. Toaster had started to do some custom plugin work for MC Parks. There were some issues with some of the software that was written at that time. And there were also issues with a plugin we used to hide minecart rails for running our version of Dragon's Challenge. So that all happened, and there was lots of CPU issues happening to our machine. At this point, we were still we didn't have our own dedicated machines. We were still on shared hosting. And so there's lots of CPU issues with all of these errors getting thrown and problems happening there. Simultaneously, there were some people who didn't like us very much, to the point where they wanted to execute DDoS attacks against the server. So simultaneously with the CPU problems we were having, we were also seeing crazy packet loss because of these attacks that were going on. I was conveniently not there for the Harry Potter opening. I was going to go see the Broadway musical On the Town at this point. So I was in Manhattan. I was watching a musical. I was in the car when everything was happening, and I hopped in Mumble on my phone, and we were kind of doing the damage report and seeing what was going on and everything. Yes, I enjoyed On the Town, but I was thinking about this the whole time, so I didn't enjoy it as much as I probably could have. So
I don't know if the server made it 5 minutes at any given point that day without going down.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
War flashbacks thinking about that day.
Yeah, this was February 15th, or 23rd, sorry. February 23rd of 2015. Here's a picture of Hogwarts Castle at that point in time.
That was so good for the time, too.
Yeah, I mean, we really, I think we're leading in terms of the quality of our builds. And I also think that our style kind of helped to, not to be too self-important here, but I think we kind of inspired some of the styles that other theme park servers had along the way as well. So we had this big, problem with the scaling issue with all these guests that are coming along on. I think there were, let's see. I love this. So there's, so I don't have timestamps on these. 90 people riding Incredible Hulk. Wizarding World opens in 1.5 hours. Over 100 people online so far. The Wizarding World opens in just over 1 hour. Here's a picture of the Quidditch pitch in Forbidden Journey from that tweet. And then half an hour later, we're working on fixing server issues. But that won't stop us from opening up everything today, the tweet says.
Oh, but did it?
Sorry for the delays, but it'll be worth it. The opening's been pushed back to 2 p.m., 200 people online. And then server is going to be down for the rest of the day and sometimes of tomorrow. Sorry, guys. And then the next tweet is, help us get a higher performance machine. Donate at mcparks.us. So here's the story behind those tweets. So we had all these terrible problems. It was part DDoS and part problems with our machine. And so at this point, we were paying $60 a month for shared hosting. We just had several, instances of Minecraft servers. But this event showed us that we were scaling up to the point where we needed more than that. And so we actually started leasing 2 dedicated machines to run all of our servers on. And so we were able to have Walt Disney World and Creative on one server, and then we had Universal, Disneyland, and the in-progress Busch Gardens Tampa on another, and the custom park as well on the other machine. And this was a huge increase in cost for us. It ended up being like $280 a month for the server hosting, up from $60. So that was like a huge deal for us. But it was it helped us a lot be ready for more openings. So into March, we opened up Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, complete with these early animatronics that were actually skeletons with armor on. Look at Bill Weasley there, chilling out. So into March, we opened the rest of those attractions. Here is the dragon on the top of Gringotts, right there, spewing out some fire. We hit 20,000 guests in March of 2015 after we opened these as well. And then we announced our newest park, Busch Gardens. So we've made it to March of 2015. We announced this for April for our 2nd anniversary weekend. We also started showing Illuminations Reflections of Earth, apparently, at this point. Let's see. Any anecdotes from spring 2015, Darren?
No, I do think we should start speeding it up a little bit. We've gotten past a lot of the troubles.
Yeah, that's a good idea. At this point, I'm actually going through the 2015 in review from the 2016 keynote presentation. We also had a new website in early 2015 that was custom that Darren mentioned that he bankrolled most of. We have this lovely logo for our 2nd anniversary that looks like it says 2 MCParks because we replaced the castle on the left-hand side with a 2.
Hey, that was my logo. You're welcome.
There you go. We reset the creative map around this time too in 2015. And fun fact, it's the same creative map that we're still using to this day. We opened our custom parks in June of 2015. There were 2 parks. It was Adventure Bay and Discovery Corps. There's a logo for that. In July of that same summer, we opened up Busch Gardens Tampa. There's a preview from that. We started a new Magic Kingdom in May of 2015.
Fun fact about New Magic Kingdom: we were promised, once you finish Grand Floridian, you can start a new Magic Kingdom. And so Grand Floridian was rushed in like 2 weeks, which is why it looks pretty bad now, so that we could start a new Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. In the end of 2015, we also had our first Teespring campaign. And this lovely promo for it too during our Christmas event where we had a Christmas thing set up. And this was a tweet that we made. Dear Santa, for Christmas this year, I would like an MC Parks t-shirt. Make sure you order soon. The campaign ends this weekend. Which is a great thing. I think that was my idea. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, it looks like something you'd create.
Yes. And then we come to the first MCParks Expo in early 2016, where we announced, of course, the hotel song happened at this point. Yep. I started trying my hand at custom plugins, and the hotel plugin was the first thing there. We were planning magic bands as well. We also announced finally starting the fourth park in Walt Disney World, Disney's Animal Kingdom, along with talking a little bit more about our new Magic Kingdom as well. And then Animal Kingdom Early Access started after that expo as well. Yeah. What else?
The biggest thing to come out of 2016 Expo was the song.
That's what everyone remembers, isn't it?
So after that, we had another series of announcements that summer for an event we
Best
called...
summer ever. I was in Disney World for this.
Yeah, best summer ever. Do you guys remember what happened at best summer ever?
What are you going to bring up from that?
our good friends over at Tokyo Disneyland.
Yes, that's when we announced Tokyo Disneyland.
2016.
Yes. So we announced Tokyo Disneyland. We also started opening some new attractions in New MK, and this was kind of the starting. So it was early 2016 that the technician department happened, I think, unless it was early 2015. I don't know. But at this point, we kind of armor stands had been a thing, and we were starting to work with armor stands, and we started a new kind of mantra for our technician team, saying that if it isn't innovative, it's wrong. And the idea behind that was, we wanted, we didn't just want to have some train carts and that was it. We wanted to have more innovative effects. And so we started doing armor stand animatronics around this time. And in July of 2016, we opened Pirates of the Caribbean, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder, and Seven Dwarfs that used all of that stuff. And that's sort of, what started us making, fewer boring things and kind of better, more better and higher quality stuff. Let's see.
When were the executives? Was that 2016 or was that 2017?
That was
2017.
January 2017 is when we switched up.
We could kind of jump ahead to that because I don't think anything else really happened in 2016.
You say that Disney Springs was solely put on the project because one of our other projects had issues and we had to remove it, and so we needed something to fill that hole in the keynote. So here's Disney Springs coming in to fill that hole for this other project that we never ended up doing.
Yes.
And then in 2017, we had another management shakeup. And that kind of brought in the executives. So we kind of took a look back at kind of how the management structure was and decided, we need to kind of refactor this a little bit. The biggest reason was I had started working for Disney in 2016. And so I wasn't around nearly as much as I had been in the past. And Ryan had just finished graduating high school. And so we were both of the expectation that this thing is going to need to, it's now been going on for a while. It's going to need to go on beyond us, and we can't be around every moment to kind of babysit it. So we kind of need people that aren't necessarily in charge of a certain department, but are just kind of like secondary people in charge of the server. And so that was what brought the executives into play. And we decided that everyone that was a manager at that point would just move up to that next level. The only exception was Jess served as the executive and GR manager at the same time. So by this point it was Kaylee, Jess,
GR lead at that point.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was Jess, Kaylee, Josh, and Mike, and then Ryan and I both as owners.
And it hasn't changed since.
And it's been going good for a little bit.
Yeah. To kind of speed through things that happened in 2017 here.
The new rank of lead, which had replaced...
What?
You go on.
Oh, I was going to say, and now I'm looking through the 2018 Expo 2017 year in review. I'm noticing we didn't quite do that for the previous year, because now we're at 2020. So we don't have a 2019 year review in our 2020 keynote. We just have a 2020 look back. But so in 2017, we started opening some resort hotels in Universal, including Sapphire Falls in January. Here's a picture. We also premiered our new version of Wishes in January as well, the week after. So here was our Wishes premiere. We worked on a really interesting project for a creative building contest on Planet Minecraft called Fjelthorpe. So it was basically make a custom theme park. And so we built this theme park, Fjelthorpe, in 2017. that was sort of like a Nordic themed area. And that was real neat. So we had a good time
I
with
just say
that.
that we
Um,
do a stupid park, but okay.
hey, you know, we started Tokyo Disneyland Early Access in April 2017 as well, to give you an idea of how long that's been a thing. We celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Apparently, this was good enough to make the year in review for the 2018 Expo. But it's it's an Easter egg hunt. I mean, we started doing more better events like this kind of thing. Kaylee or Jesse, you have anything you remember from the Easter egg hunt in 2017?
Yeah, that was a Kaylee project, I think.
Sure it was.
Which was, I'm sorry.
The Easter egg hunt in 2017.
Oh, yes, that was a great time. Loved working on that. Had a bunch of GRs helping with that too. That was kind of like the first quest that I worked on here.
In April of 2017, we opened Animal Kingdom. Is my corgi okay? Yeah, he's in New York. I'm in Florida, so I'm not. He's not with me. Anyway, yeah, we started doing more. We opened Disney's Pop Century Resort. We started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I put that 100% by myself.
Yes. We started our new Disneyland Resort Early Access in July of 2017. We reached 90,000 guests.
For New Disneyland, because we had spent like a whole month and a half working on DCA, and like the amount of hype leading up to that meeting from the Imagineers who worked on it, knowing that we were finally showcase it to like some people, was like massive.
Yeah, we refurbed our Haunted Mansion. We opened Universal's Volcano Bay in August of 2017. You know, there that is, along with Cabana Bay. We updated to 1.12 and added magic bands, and we are still on 1.12. So hey, we did the MCParks Kinda Scary Halloween Party in 2017, where we had Halloween Horror Nights as well as Hallowishes and trick or treating around Magic Kingdom. There's a picture of that.
Oh, that graphic design though. It's mine.
We started working on the roads of the Walt Disney World Resort. Here's an early thing of Buena Vista Drive and World Drive right there. We started renovating Future World, and around here is the time when we resolved that we didn't want to do like new versions of parks all the time, and instead we wanted to fix all the scaling issues that we had. That's why we restarted Disneyland. But we wanted to, for the rest of our parks, we wanted to get it to a point where things were scaled properly, so we could instead, so we could instead just redo things bit by bit, and that's sort of the idea of what we did. And then January 9th in 2018 is when we reached 100,000 guests. Yeah, moving into 2018. We opened Pandora, the World of Avatar. We started our newer Hollywood studios as well.
You're forgetting the biggest thing of 2018.
The biggest thing of 2018 being that we started using 3D custom modeled ride vehicles. And that's something that we've been doing ever since. That was kind of the big thing from the 2018 Expo. At this point, we also started tracking all of our rides. All that stuff that happened. And then we get into things that are a little bit more, current, right? At this point, you can go into like the announcements section on Discord, because we moved to Discord in when did we move to Discord?
2016,
I think. It was 2016. So things from 2016 onwards are much more well documented on Discord. You can go through all the old announcements and stuff. There was some point where we actually had to we reset things because one of Darren's accounts got broken into. So some stuff got reset, but stuff is more documented from there on out.
January 24th, 2016.
There you go. Yeah, so that's where we're at. 2019, of course, brought with it the park points economy, and we have all sorts of other projects that we worked on. We opened a new Universal earlier before then. And it was kind of I don't know what else. What else do we want to go through?
We forgot some really important news from 2017.
What's that, Kaylee?
The first Thursday Fun Nights.
Yes, that was a big fun event that stuck with us every year too.
Yes, it's been a great thing to come around to every year. So,
all right. So now it took us almost two hours to go through all this stuff.
And we zoomed past like 5 years.
Yes, we did. So at this point, let's take some questions from the audience. If you have questions, you can throw them in the Discord Expo panel discussion channel, and we'll answer questions about the history of the server.
Future of the server questions is tomorrow's thing. Come to the keynote.
Yes. If you have questions about the history of MCParks, you can ask them here.
Let's make it
so
MCParks lore book.
When did Pirates get its refurb? Pirates has been redone several times. Most recently in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
So this is not questions about the future. This is questions about the past.
We start doing character meet and greets. I mean, we've always sort of done meet and greets. I don't remember when we started doing them with the current system that we have now, but
I think that was a 2019 or late 2018 thing, kind of when we updated to 1.12.2.
Might have been one of the features of 1.12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around then. There's lots and lots of questions here, so I'm going to just have to cherry pick some of them. Why haven't we talked about the Nick Hotel yet? That was just another one of our small projects. We just sometimes built smaller things. Nick Hotel was one of them. A lot of those old stuff, they're not with us anymore because they just didn't fit. They were aging to a point where we didn't feel like they met our quality standards anymore. And we just wanted to get rid of them because there wasn't any interest in doing any more work onto them. It's the same deal with the custom parks as well. Some of them were technical reasons where we neglected them, and they just lots of things were broken, and it was going to be way too much work to revitalize them, so we just closed them. Some projects, the people, again, there weren't any interest to work on them because people who were working on them got busy and left the project. That's what happened with the Disney Cruise Line, for example. What was my reaction when Call Me Carson joined the server? Oh boy, all these people are just not very good people. They're being very mean, and they're being very toxic.
There's a lot of fans of his. I mean, I know we got a lot of fans who stuck around and became regular guests and stuff, but there was a lot of fans of his who just sort of came on and trolled. So yeah. Not good memories.
The donor ranks went through several iterations. The donor ranks as you know them today started during the Best Summer Ever event, though.
The donator ranks used to be subscriptions. You'd have to pay monthly for them, or you'd lose them.
Yes, Best Summer Ever is when that got changed back to the current system. Yeah. We were kind of before our time with subscription stuff. The appetite for subscription ranks just wasn't there back then. If we had done that, closer to now, I think there'd be a better appetite for it, but we're not going to do that. How did we get in contact with Jack Patilla? One of his friends introduced him to the server. He came online. He did on a live stream there, and then we just kind of
panel for a little bit.
He was here earlier this evening, and then we just sent him a message like, "Hey, reach out to us if you want to do something." And he reached out to us.
Well, he came onto the Discord, right? And he said,
"Yeah, because we told him to.
Is this where I come to yell at the wonderful people who made the server or something?"
Yes, he came in the Discord because we told him, "Here, come here and reach out to us." Poog, we've been. I don't like there haven't been too many times where I think we've been the biggest theme park server. I mean, depends on
Palace
what you
has
mean by
always
biggest.
sort of been a bit bigger. but
Yeah, but like, you know, ever since
players.
2014, 2015, we've kind of been up and coming, and you know, we're up there neck and neck with some of the other ones.
Not so much something we really focus on, competition between servers and stuff. I mean, obviously we know where our place is in the larger community, but like doing stuff with the sole intent of competing is not really what we're here for.
As you mentioned, Animatronics popped up in 2016. That's when we started using them in earnest in our parks. We will not add old MCParks closed places to creative. Some stuff we just don't have. Other stuff, you know, like it just, yeah, we're creative for people to build stuff. What year have we done the most projects in? I don't have good answer.
2020.
There you go, 2020. That's a good one. Yes, I wrote the system
the
that.
keynote presentation tomorrow to find out why.
Yes, I wrote the system that did animatronics. How and when did we learn to do projection mapping? Well, the thing that just rebuilds has been a thing since 2013, like since the beginning of the server. That was like one of the earliest effects that we had. Just, you know, switching out blocks for other blocks because it's a very easy thing to do in Minecraft. Jesse, we have lots of backups of the server. So I guess, yeah, we have archives of old stuff in that way, but they're not like going to go be viewable and stuff.
Unlike 2013.
How many command blocks are throughout the Magic Kingdom alone? Not very many. We don't really use command blocks. All of our stuff happens in code files that are actually just, you know, sitting on the server.
Show up to the technician panel for more information.
That's a good plug, Josh. Poke asks if there's something we wanted to put onto the server that was too advanced for the technology of your time. We are always looking at ways to advance our technology. And so we view things in the realm of, here's an effect that we want to recreate. How can we invent something new to approach what is there in real life? And so
Happily Ever After was considered borderline impossible when it came out.
I don't think it was ever considered
maybe not
impossible.
by you, but I remember watching it in a channel with a bunch of other people, and a lot of people said this is going to be really difficult to actually do.
Do we get annoyed at the can you build, can you add questions? A little bit. How many YouTubers and streamers have been to MCParks? Probably many. You know, everyone's a YouTuber these days. Anyone can just put a video on YouTube before. So
I mean, yeah, if you're counting anybody who made a video of us, thousands probably, maybe more. If you're talking about like notable people with like more than a couple hundred subscribers, couple dozen, like, yeah, not a ton, but
couple dozen.
You know any OG players that are still that aren't staff? Yeah, most of the creative community has been around for years.
There's also I don't know if she's still watching, but Little Miss D, who's doing a stream, was around in the MC Magic days.
Why is there a chest that says 2016 Halloween decorations in Magic Kingdom? Because those are where the 2016 Halloween decorations are stored.
Oh yeah, that was an Easter egg like 4 years ago, and then we never removed it.
Yeah, we always have Easter eggs like that. We don't have any plans to bring back the old pre-Park Points economy items in a way that you can interact with them, just because of the way that everything has changed. But we might have a way for you to view your old items in the future, is how we've kind of changed for that. How did we get Vec to finish Spider-Man? By continually telling him, hey, Vec, have you finished Spider-Man yet?
It was said so often it became a meme among the staff.
Yeah. We might add additional Banshee colors in the future. You never know. But that's a future question. What was our favorite park to build? The ones we're building currently.
I cannot legally answer that question.
There you go. What was the hardest ride to build? Oh, whatever we're working on currently. Like, honestly, no. Like honestly, like it's the stuff that we're working on currently, just because we have just like higher, you know, like thresholds for what is good enough for us. We have higher standards now, so everything that we do now is much harder than what we did in the past, because, you know, it's we just have more more restrictions on ourselves, I guess. But yeah. Is everything made for MCParks specifically by staff, coded by us, or have we used mods or other things in the past to help create things for the server? We've always made use of open source software that's out there in the world. Shrink Hearts is a great example of that. Built by Burger Killer, who's great, and it's open source software. So we've contributed to train carts and we've contributed to stuff like that in the past as well. But we also use custom plugins that we develop ourselves. As far as mods are concerned, we have never used any sort of client-side mod because we want to be accessible to the greatest number of Minecraft users as possible. And installing mods and requiring mods be installed to join the server is something that makes it more difficult to join the server. So yeah, no, we were not MC Magic. That was a different project. But a lot of our cast members, not a lot of them, but many of our original cast members used to work on MC Magic. If we go back to 2013 and give our younger self advice for the server, what would it be? Yeah, I know what I would. It would be have like a style guide for how everything in the back end is going to be managed. It might be easy to just go and just rename something really quickly or just drag something in or whatever, but keep everything in the back end organized. And of course, that's not something that I really would understand, to my younger self, because not until I, have gone a little bit more in depth and worked with larger software projects before would I even understand, what to do with that. But that's what I would say. Darren, what about you?
Oh gosh, just one thing. To be totally honest, and I hate to get really sentimental here and stuff. There isn't much. There's been a lot of weird steps that the server's taken and a lot of questionable decisions that have been made in leadership, not just by me but others on the team. But I think that through those changes and kind of the discovery of what works and what doesn't work, it made us a much stronger community. And I think that more than anyone else, or any other project that does anything similar to what we're doing here, is we've had people stick around for so long is because of how accepting of those mistakes we are, and how if I mess up or if I make a bad call, I own it. And I think that that's true for pretty much everyone on the team here. But if there was one singular thing, I would say when I stepped down as owner, probably not doing that. I think that it caused a lot of issues that we ended up having to backtrack a lot. That or just some weird fights I picked with people in 2013 in the community. Just, learning to kind of bite my tongue a little bit and not do that.
I don't know what the oldest ride in MCParks that is still open, Mr. Frank.
I think we had this question asked at a meeting a few months ago, and we determined it was probably something on BGT.
Probably.
I do think we should start kind of wrapping up now.
Yeah, Happily Ever After is in 10.
Yeah.
Is everyone excited for that? Yay.
Do we use charge creepers to get the character heads for the shops? I don't think I really understand what you mean.
I don't think we use charge creepers for anything, though.
I don't know what they would have to do with character heads.
Yeah, we just use the /skull command.
Well, yeah, there are plugins that give, infrastructure for getting that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point, Happily Ever After is going to go on. I think we're going to open up the Expo Hall as well, right?
So the Expo Hall is opening up in 2 phases. We have phase 1 that's opening today, where you guys will be able to get all of your lovely merchandise that is specific to Expo stuff, so that the hats and the shirts. And then after the keynote tomorrow, there will be some more fun stuff opening.
I should probably go and make sure that it's all ready to go, shouldn't I?
All right, cool. Who's adding the?
Who's
setting the Expo Hall?
What is this? It's like a whole.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming.
Here.
Thank you all for coming to the Expo Kickoff and the MCParks History panel. hope you enjoyed. We have a great weekend coming up for you all to kind of go back through the timetable. So we're opening the Expo Hall now, so you'll be able to go to Warp Expo and check that out. We're also showing Happily Ever After with a special ending at the castle. Tomorrow at noon is the application panel where you're going to be able to learn all about how to apply to MCParks and how you can make your application more attractive to us. The guest relations panel is at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Learn all about the guest relations department, how the events work, and all that kind of stuff. Then we have the MCParks keynote address at 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and that's going to be the main event with all of our fun, all of our fun announcements and videos that we put together for you all. And then the technician panel will be after that at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, we have the Imagineering panel at noon, the Parks Experience panel at 2. You're definitely going to want to go to the Technician, Imagineering, and Parks Experience panels if you have questions about, what everyone has worked on for, during the keynote. And then there's the closing ceremony will be at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So yeah, enjoy everybody. Have a good time. Have a good weekend, everybody. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to show off all of the many things that we've got. Keep in mind that the Expo Hall will be open for a week after the Expo as well. So maybe if people want to run group rides on Hulk and some Universal things, just so we can disperse people across, that would probably be a good idea. So thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure to have you all here. And
Enjoy, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.